everybody. Tonight we're going to do a new one. This is being a new folder called Wednesday Watch. What we'll do in Wednesday Watch, I know, original. What we'll do is we'll watch a random documentary, a television show, a film, or something relating to LGBTQI+. It may be a classic one, as in tonight's episode. Tonight's episode is from a documentary from 1987. I think it's about 25 minutes long, but I'll cut it down to 10. From 1987, called Living with AIDS. I think it's an American documentary, so some of you may never have seen this before, and some of you may have, so I'm just looking a wee bit of dust on the screen. That's better. Without further ado, whatever that means, let's go on with it. San Francisco.
There's just no guarantees, I've found. No guarantees for anybody, really. Yeah, I looked at my body yesterday, and it's a pretty skinny little body, and that upsets me a lot. You know, I can't do a lot of things anymore. I feel like an elderly person in a room, and weak, getting my Social Security. Old people and I have a lot in common.
At age 16, Todd Coleman left Denver, Colorado to come to San Francisco. At 21, Todd was diagnosed with AIDS. He died the following year. San Francisco has become a model for compassionate community response to a growing national epidemic. Todd received specialized medical care at San Francisco General Hospital's AIDS clinic. Todd's doctor was Constance Wofsy, a noted AIDS physician.
How do you feel as far as the fevers and the sweats and all of that now compared to about 3 weeks ago when you were feeling really pretty lousy?
Oh, much better.
Much better.
Much
Great.
better. At least I would say at least 80% better, at least.
What about the nausea and vomiting? How much food are you able to eat?
Well, today I've eaten breakfast and a bowl of cereal and a half a cantaloupe before I left here.
To learn more about Todd's condition, his lover Bob began to accompany him to the hospital. Bob and Todd had met 6 months after Todd was diagnosed.
Todd told me he had AIDS. I mean, there had been a complete turnaround in my feelings in regards to a person with AIDS, that they aren't lepers, and you're not going to catch it by touching them. I had never known anybody yet in my life that had AIDS, much less someone that I was attracted to. We started talking about the Shanti home, and he started telling me about when he was diagnosed, and all this time my paranoia is reducing as I begin to understand more about his sickness and the situation he was in.
His immune system destroyed by the AIDS virus, Todd was vulnerable to diseases like Kaposi sarcoma, a rare skin cancer producing internal and external lesions.
You know, then I'll do something because it's obvious it's inside of me, you know, and it's in my mouth, and I don't want anything to disrupt, as Hetty said, you know, my eating. And but it doesn't hurt or anything like that, so right now we got so much time. I think we've got plenty of time.
The Lesbian and Gay Freedom Day Parade in San Francisco is the world's largest annual gay pride event, where gay men and lesbians join friends, family, and supporters to celebrate their liberation. With the onset of the AIDS epidemic, the parade began to reflect the community's support for people with AIDS. Each day here during 1985, one person died of AIDS. 2 more were diagnosed.
Todd was real proud to ride shotgun out front in the truck. Being in the parade and all the cheering and the people clapping, and he was happy. And it wasn't very often that I could get him to be happy.
During the last few months of Todd's life, he became involved with the AIDS Hospice Home Care Program. Upon entering the hospice program, Todd was assigned a home care team, led by his nurse, Hetty.
I remember Todd always saying how fortunate he was. All he talked about was how fortunate he was to have us, to have Bob, to have such a wonderful man to take care of him. He always focused on how lucky he was and what was going well in his life.
They told me about Todd and asked me whether or not I wanted to be accompanied by either the nurse or the social worker. Because I hadn't done so with my first patient, I elected not to do so with Todd. I wanted to meet him by myself. We shook hands, and he said, "How about a hug?" And at that point, I knew it was going to be okay. How's your fever?
Well, it's going down because I'm doing some sweating right now, but it's going down. But I still feel real weak.
Do you want to go up and lay down and put on your oxygen?
Yeah, I think I should put on my oxygen.
He really was managing the whole process of his illness very well. He knew what he needed. He knew his philosophy about it. He was very direct about dying and about wanting to live. You heard from your mother recently?
Hetty and I called her, I think last week, and talked with her. Yeah, Hetty said she'd call her again. She cried, of course. There's not a whole lot she can do.
Randy, a hospice volunteer, was Todd's masseur.
I got to find out about Todd through the volunteer coordinator. And then after that, I got a call, and they said, "We have somebody new for you. His name is Todd. You're really going to like him, and he's going to be around for a while."
Everybody's got mustaches and those
hopefully he wasn't going to die the next day or
bring
the
them
next
back.
week.
I love that lotion of yours. What is it called?
Spice Professional Massage Lotion. Old Spice. Reminds everyone of their father. As they get more and more ill, the people around them stop touching them. And we as humans respond very well to touch. It's a daily requirement to be held, and for me, I feel the main thing that we can offer is that touch back, that human contact that they may be losing.
We never really developed what is considered your basic normal relationship. Most of our time was spent going to movies, going to dinner, or laying at his house watching TV, or him napping. I took more care of him because he was too tired. He was still thinking of concepts of being healthy. Gee, sometimes it was a burden just to get the frozen food out of the refrigerator and cook it.
Facing it and thinking about Bob. You know, I love him very much, and that's very hard. You know, I don't want to leave anyone.
As time progressed, it got more and more difficult for him, and he felt a great deal of guilt for me because I am healthy. And to go 6 months without sex is a long time. And it was really devastating to him that he had lost this power of sexuality. But in turn, we were moving into a new phase of love and caring that Todd really didn't quite understand yet, I don't think. He didn't really understand loving someone beyond a sexual point. I think that's why he had many failures in his previous relationships, that he had learned to sexually love, but not love for love's sake alone.
A lot of men could learn by that.
Todd's dealing with death was one of my greatest attractions to him, as morbid as that may sound, was because the man had an enormous courage, that he was never afraid to die in that respect. His only two fears were the Capaces and the loss of his mental facilities. And he definitely had a very strong spiritual feeling that he did not want to be maintained. But all I could feel then was how relieved it was for him, because he was breathing so hard. Every breath he took was just a tremendous drain. And how hard he was fighting, and I could see the capices, the lesions growing in the week he was in the hospital, and he hated that so much. And all I could think was, thank God that he's dead now instead of later, when it would have been more frightening for him.
Each year at AIDS memorials, thousands of new deaths are mourned.
Just don't turn away from us all, because a lot of kids, a lot of men need help, and that help is appreciated, and we need as much of it as we can get, because it's killing too many of us. It's just killing too many of us off. I don't want to see any other 22-year-old go through this. I really don't. And if they do go through it, I only hope that they're as fortunate as I am.
That was real. And that's what AIDS did to you in the 80s. Thank God they've got it under control now. Not fully under control or cured yet, but that's hard hitting. A bit depressing for the first video for a Wednesday watch, but you know, it's going to be more like that probably. Only we'll get some fun ones in.